Each one of these technologies work to solving one single thing. So when we look at artificial intelligence, it works towards solving autonomy. The spend in artificial intelligence as an estimate is phenomenal. What are we looking at there? $5.8 trillion. It is phenomenally huge. Artificial intelligence is going to flip many of the things that we understood the way that they actually work. But I'm going to give you a very interesting example while we step right here. I want to ask you guys, when I say artificial intelligence, name me the company that first comes to your mind. Go for it. Sorry? DeepMind. Okay. Give me some other example. What are some of the companies that come to your mind when I say artificial intelligence? IBM. Okay. Google. Okay. One more. Anyone else? Facebook. Okay. So I'm going to ask you one more question before I move to the next one, which is in great context of us just having lunch right now. In the fish food chain, which fish has the most nutrients in it? Do you know which fish it is? The most nutrient-dense fish. Does anybody know which one it is? It's at the very bottom of the food chain. Sorry? Nemo. You should be on stage with me, man. Not Nemo. Any other ideas? Yeah? Okay. When we go to a restaurant, we usually offered a salmon or a tuna, right? But the companies you've mentioned right now are sharks, aren't they? But the most powerful fish in the food chain is the sardine. The sardine has the most nutrition in it out of all the fish in the food chain. And in order for you to eat that tuna or whatever fish that you order when you go to a restaurant, if that sardine is not in good condition, the fish that you're going to be eating is not in good condition. And so what I'm talking about are startup companies. These startup companies are the sardines that are being eaten by the sharks that you've just mentioned to me. They are not the ones leading artificial intelligence, they're the ones buying artificial intelligence because they have the resources to do it. What they don't have is the speed, agility, and dynamics of some of these small companies. So what I've laid out to you here is funding into startup companies in the artificial intelligence space. Now this chart is actually very misleading if you've noticed that early stage investment is actually decreasing over time. Right? So you probably think that this is a maturing market, but it's far from the case, and I'm going to give you a very specific example. In 2001, I raised $9 million for a first-generation artificial intelligence company. We failed in 12 months. We burned all the money. We were unable to go to the next level because the funding environment wasn't there for artificial intelligence. But if I was to build that same company today, can any of you guess what that $9 million would look like today? How much it would cost me to build the same company today, 20 years later? Can anyone make a guess? Yeah, lunch is still kicking in, guys. Take a wild guess. What do you think it would cost me to build the same company today? 500,000? Keep going below. A little bit higher. It would cost $100,000 today. What cost me $9 million 20 years ago to build today would cost no more than $100,000. And the reason being is that the technology, the talent, the platforms required in order for me to move as quickly as possible to develop artificial intelligence exists. And one of the very simplistic examples that are in front of you, I don't know if anyone here uses Google Sheets or any of the sort of the Google Drive products. You're going to notice at the very bottom right, there's something called Explore. It's a plus sign inside a shape of a comment. And this has been designed to learn from the data that you've directly put in the document that you've uploaded or working on, and it'll give you immediate answers to several of the, let's say, prominent correlations in that document. That is a perfect example of how some of these things are actually going, that anyone can actually go and try tonight if they haven't tried before, of course. Now, one of the areas in artificial intelligence that gets me the most excited is something called reinforced learning. Has anyone here heard of reinforced learning or know what it's about? Yeah? Okay. It's an area that most people don't know about, but a lot of money is going into patents to fund companies working in this area. Fundamentally, the basics that all of us would understand, in order for artificial intelligence to work, you need a data set, right? And data set comes from history. You need a lot of data in order to make your artificial intelligence work better. What if I told you there was a technique where the data was not required? That's what this is. It learns like how you or I would learn. When I was a child, I go to the restaurant, the guy delivering the plate to me says, don't touch it, it's hot. I haven't registered that data. I touched the plate, I burned my finger, and guess what? For the rest of my life, I know not to touch a hot plate, right? That's how reinforced learning works. Reinforced learning works by very rapid tests to understand reward versus the sanctions or the problems that may arise, and registers it very quickly so it can actually learn on its own. So at the end of every one of these trends, I'm going to identify 4 really large opportunities that will stimulate you and inspire you to think about how this will have implications on you. And when we think about implications, I'll remind you throughout my talk, I want you to look at yourself first, because we're all here for personal development first. Second is how do you apply that to your clients so that your clients can grow, and how does that come back to GT? Because if you look at the formula, GT has invested in, obviously, in a very good program today, because they're investing in you as an individual, because you're going to invest in putting your abilities and capabilities into your clients, which is then going to result in growth at GT. So as I look at through these opportunities, try to look at through some of those lenses. Number 1, the ability for artificial intelligence to genuinely learn on its own is the number 1 opportunity when it comes to this area. Anything that is related to that is going to be very, very big. Second is convergence. Now, out of the 5 technologies that I'm going to be talking to you about, the one that has the capability to bleed into all of them with massive disruptive capability is AI. Now, voice and image search. Now, I think this one came up in one of the earlier presentations where AI for voice is about 50% of search just today, right? Today, it's literally 50% of everything we do, just like the examples given with Alexa and Google, Siri and some of the other personal assistants out there. But the one that many people haven't been exploiting yet is image search. So in your phone, if you use Google Photo, you'll find something called Google Lens. I suggest if you haven't, try it, take it for a spin. You can take a picture of almost anything and it'll try to figure out what it is. So for example, I had an old shirt in my closet. I didn't know where to get another copy of it. I literally took a picture of it and Google figured out for me exactly where I can get it online without me having to think about anything. So there are some very practical things and a lot of utility around image search AI. So I suggest take it for a test drive.